Okay, this is my friend Kendall, and she is in 4th grade, and she's going to read to us Edward Tulane, chapter 7 and 8.
Chapter 7. He told himself that certainly Abeline would come and find him. This, Edward thought, is much like waiting for Abeline to come home from school. I will pretend that I am in the dining room of the house on Egypt Street, waiting for the little hand to move on to the 3 and the big hand to land on the 12. If only I had my watch, then I would know for sure. But it doesn't matter. She will be here soon, very soon. Hours passed, and then days, and weeks, and months. Abeline did not come. Edward, for lack of anything better to do, began to think. He thought about the stars. He remembered what they looked like from his bedroom window. What made them shine so brightly, he wondered. And they were still shining somewhere, even though he could not see them. Never in my life, he thought, have I been farther away from those stars than I am now. He considered, too, the fate of the beautiful princess who became the warthog. Why had she become a warthog? Because the ugly witch turned her into one, that's why. And then the rabbit thought of Pellegrina. He felt, in some way that he could not explain to himself, that she was responsible for what had happened to him. It was almost as if she, and not the boys, had thrown Edward overboard. It was like she was the witch in the story. No, she was the witch in the story. True, but she did not turn him into a warthog. But just the same, she was punishing him, although for what he could not say. On the 297th day of Edward's ordeal, a storm came. The storm was so powerful that it lifted Edward off the ocean floor and led him into a crazy, wild, spinning dance. The water pummeled and lifted him up and shoved him back down. Help! Thought Edward. The storm, in its ferocity, actually flung him all the way into the sea. And the rabbit glimpsed, for a moment, the light of the angry and blue sky. The wind rushed through his ears. It sounded to him like Pellegrina laughing. But before he had time to appreciate being above water, he was tossed back into the depths. Up and down, back and forth. He went until the storm wore itself out, and Edward saw it was beginning again, his slow descent to the ocean floor. Oh, help me, he thought. I can't go back there. Help me. But still, down he went. Down, down, down. And then, suddenly, the great wide net of a fisherman reached out and grabbed the rabbit. The net lifted him higher and higher until there was almost an unbearable explosion of light, and Edward was back in the world, lying on the deck of his ship, surrounded by fish. What's this? Said a voice. Ain't no fish, said another. That's for sure. The light was so brilliant that it was hard for Edward to see. But finally, shapes appeared and out of the light, and then faces. And Edward realized he was looking up at 2 men, one young and one old. Looks like some kind of toy, said the grizzled man. He bent down and picked Edward up and held him by the front paws, considering him. A rabbit, I reckon. He's got whiskers and a rabbit ears and all those shapes of a rabbit ears at least. Yeah, sure, a rabbit toy, said the younger man, and he turned away. I'll take it home to Nellie. Let her fix it up and set it to its rights. Give it to some child. The old man placed Edward carefully on the crate, positioning him so that he was sitting up so he could look out at the sea. Edward appreciated the courtesy of this small gesture, but he was heartily sick of the ocean and would have been satisfied never to set his eyes on it again. There you go, the old man said. As they made their way back to shore, Edward felt the sun on his face and the wind blowing through the little bit of fur left on his ears, and something filled his chest. A wonderful feeling. He was glad to be alive. Look at that rabbit, the old man said. Looks like it's enjoying the ride, don't it? Yet, said the young man. In fact, Edward Tulane was so happy to be back among the living that he did not even take the umbrage as being referred to it. Do I keep going? Chapter 8. On land, the old fisherman stopped to light the pipe, and then, with the pipe clenched between his teeth, he walked home, carrying Edward atop his left shoulder as if he was a conquering hero. The fisherman balanced him there, placing a calloused hand at Edward's back. He talked to him in a soft, low voice as they walked. "You'll like Nellie, you will," the old man said. "She's had her sadness, but she's an all right girl." Edward looked at the small town blanketed in dust, a jumble of buildings huddled together. The ocean stretched out all in front of it. And he thought that he would like anything and anybody that was not at the bottom of the sea. "Hello, Lawrence," called a woman from the front of the shop. "What have you got?" "Fresh catch," said the fisherman. "Fresh rabbit from the sea." He lifted his cap to the lady and kept walking. There you are now," said the fisherman. He took his pipe out of his mouth and pointed to the stem of it at a star in the purpling sky. "There's the North Star right there. Don't never have to be lost when you know where that fellow is." Edward considered the brightness of the small star. "Do they all have names?" he wondered. "Listen to me," said the fisherman, "talking to a toy. Oh, well, here we are then." And with Edward's star on his shoulder, the fisherman walked up a stone-lined path into a little green house. "Look here, Nellie," he said. "I brought you something from the sea." "I don't want something from the sea," came a voice. "Ah, now, don't be like that, Nell. Come and see." And an old woman stepped out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. When she saw Edward, she dropped the apron and clapped her hands together and said, "Oh, Lawrence, you brought me a rabbit." "Direct from the sea," said Lawrence. He took Edward off his shoulder and stood him up on the floor and held him in his hands and made him take a deep bow in the direction of Nellie. "Oh," Nellie said, "here." She clapped her hands together again, and Lawrence passed Edward to her. Nellie held the rabbit out in front of her and looked over him, tip to toe. She smiled. "Have you ever seen something so fun?" Edward immediately knew Nellie was a very discerning woman. "She's beautiful," breathed Nellie. For a moment, Edward was confused. Was there some other object of beauty in the room? What will I call her? "Susanna?" Lawrence asked. "Just right," Nellie said. "Susanna." She looked deep into Edward's eyes. "First off, Susanna, you will need some clothes, won't she?"
Thanks.
You're welcome.